Hey guys, Sci-Fi Guy 2094 here. I just watched Dune Prophecy episode 1. So I'm going to do like a little bit of rundown of this episode and kind of what I thought of it. So basically this show takes place 1,000 years before the birth of Paul Atreides. A little bit more than 1,000 years. So from what we saw, they kind of gave like a little bit of like a prelude, and basically there were these self-aware machines that they called thinking machines that were, kind of sentient. Basically, there was a war between them and humanity, and eventually thinking machines were outlawed, and the technology um, used was like basically it was outlawed because it was deemed too dangerous. So during the battle, one of the decisive battles, it was led by an Atreides, um, and for some reason on the battlefield there was allegations that the Atreides abandoned their post and they were the ones that kind of defected and that they were like cowards. And the House Atreides basically were tarnished from this. What the main character was saying, the narrator saying, was basically just a lie. Um, and so, in order to make sure that the Imperium is guided in the right way, she basically started like this sisterhood of truthsayers. So they're people with abilities, and they train themselves to be able to tell if somebody's lying or telling the truth. And they basically just want to make sure that the Imperium is serving justly. Um, we fast forward like 30 years, and so she started her own little school where they train all these women with abilities. And basically, to put it simply, they want um, they want one of the truthsayers, which is this group of women who have been kind of they've been advising people in the Imperium, but they don't have a seat necessarily. They have influence, but they're not any of the ones governing. So basically, they want to actually have like a seat at the table. And so, in order for this to happen, they arrange this marriage of one of their own to marry this little prince from one of the great houses, which is kind of weird because he's like 9 years old. But even during the ceremony, the little boy's like, you don't have to talk. This is just for formalities. So yeah, it is kind of weird that a 9-year-old kid is marrying this grown woman. But yeah, it's just a power dynamic. Just for political purposes, it's not like a romance thing or anything. She's not into 9-year-old boys, so she's not a creep. So basically, that's kind of what happens. Um, yeah, they just want a seat at the table, so they arrange this marriage so they can be, at the Imperium and have influence and a say of what goes on. And so it leaves you on this cliffhanger though, because earlier we're introduced to like this soldier who survived. He survived an attack on Arrakis, and he said that they were attacked and he was the only survivor. One of the truth sayers is like, okay, yeah, he's telling the truth, or what he believes to be true. We find out that this dude actually kind of, yes, he was the only survivor, but using one of those using like one, I don't know what they call them, just the thing that makes the sound. They put it in the sand and it just thumps like that, to simulate like walking. So one of the giant sandworms comes, he disrupts the spice operation there, and he survives. But at the end, we see that he was like talking to the little prince boy who just got married earlier in the day, and he was like, you know what? Sometimes sacrifices have to be made. And then the little boy starts burning up, which was kind of, man, that was shocking to me. And it looked on his face like the soldier dude. He kind of felt bad. Like he didn't seem to take joy in the fact that the little boy was like being burned to death. But for some reason this little boy had to be sacrificed, and we don't know why yet. Simultaneously, um, one of the truthsayers, one of the women in the truthsayer clan, basically, she had visions earlier of some type of she doesn't really know what, but some type of event that is to come later, and she also burns while the little boy is burning. So I don't know if she was linked to him in any type of way, but that's kind of what happened. It just leaves you there at the end of that first episode wondering, okay, what sacrifice are we talking about? Why did the little boy burn up? And how does this play into the larger picture of the great houses? So we'll have to see what happens because it doesn't tell you too much. This first episode gives you just enough to get you very interested, and I really like that. So it was a great first episode. It's only like an hour and 3 minutes, so not too long. I gotta say, I am hooked. I really like this show. I don't really watch TV shows too much because they just take too long to get into, but I'm definitely hooked on this show. I give it 2 thumbs up. Um, and you should definitely check out Dune Prophecy.